Alright, hey guys, remember CCG back in the video. With this video, I'm bringing you guys my Ancient Gear deck profile, and this is post Legacy of Destruction support and the Shonen Jump Ancient Gear Dragon support. This is obviously just a testing deck profile. I am going to update it again once it actually releases in the TCG. Of course, we're not going to get the Ancient Gear Dragon at that point, but once we do get that, I'll update it as well. But I just want to hear you guys, what you guys think, and just overall about the build or what you guys would change. I'm definitely open to all of that. But here we're going to get started with 2 copies of Ancient Gear Dark Golem. This card I just really like to special summon it using Gear Town. It's very powerful. It's a 2-card search. You do have to discard a card, but that's usually fine because you can just search something out like Gearbox, and then from there just discard the Gearbox afterwards. So it's just a strong Ancient Gear Dark Golem monster. And of course, it's also treated as an Ancient Gear Golem while it's on the field, so it enables you to use certain effects with the continuous spells. So just really strong, powerful overall. So I like having the 2 copies. Then I have 2 copies of Ancient Gear Golem. So this card is a little bricky, but I do like to see this card just because we do have something like Ancient Gear Dragon that does activate its effect, and in order for it to really utilize it without you using monsters on the field, then you want to send an Ancient Gear Golem from your deck. But not only that, we have something like Commander that does the same thing. So really, we just want to be able to just pitch something like that and not really affect the field. And we also have 1 copy of Ancient Gear Golem Ultimate Pound. It's not a super powerful Ancient Gear Golem monster. It's really just here for the namesake. We do have something like this fusion monster, Ancient Gear Megaton Golem, that does benefit from having Ultimate Pound. Not only that, but of course Ancient Gear Fusion also helps with that as well. So it's just another Ancient Gear Golem name, and for that reason, we just have the 1 copy. Then we have 1 copy of Therian King Regulus. This is a machine deck, and Regulus can help provide a negate. This deck struggles with putting out any negates, so having Regulus really helps a lot. Then we have 2 copies of Ancient Gear Dragon. This is the new Spell Trap Negate. If you guys haven't seen the combos for this deck profile, then it is going to be in the top right corner. But otherwise, 2 copies of Ancient Gear Dragon. I think it's strong. It's not like the easiest to get out, but thankfully we have things like Ancient Gear Tanker that ignores summoning conditions, and we also have Catapult that's as well as able to ignore the summoning conditions. So that's great. 2 copies. 3 copies of Wyvern because this is the Ancient Gear card generic search. Just a powerful monster. We want to have 3 of this. 2 copies of Frame because if you need to search out the spell or trap, then you have this. 2 copies of Tanker because it's able to special summon any Ancient Gear monster from your hand. So that's great, just get it out. And not only that, but it can actually pop a card in the field, and in doing so you can actually trigger the effect of like Gear Town, Ancient Gear Fortress here, and in order to just do something. Then I run 1 copy of Commander because this card lets you normal summon once again, and of course you can do that with the Ancient Gear Dragon. You can normal summon it or just summon out the Tanker and then bring out the Dragon, as you've seen with the combo video. But of course that does require Ancient Gear Golem, and that's why we have the 2nd copy. And not only that, but you can actually banish this card in order to put the Ancient Gear Duel that's in your hand onto the field, which is great because it gives you another way to fusion summon. Ancient Gear Box, you only need the 1 copy because it's just another name, basically. It's great for just that reason. 1 copy of Ancient Gear Hunting Hound. This one I know is a bit mixed feelings about, but it is a way of you just getting out a fusion summon without having to rely on searching out the spell or trap. So that's great, just because sometimes you can only get a monster on the board, and in doing so, at least you can get an Ancient Gear Fusion monster. And for the hand traps, we have 3 copies of Ash Blossom, and we have 3 copies of Ancient Gear Catapult because it's able to pop a card in the field and then get itself out, or get an Ancient Gear monster from the deck out. So of course, if you've seen the combos video, we use this to pop a Gear Town, and yeah, it's great just for that reason. It provides you a lot of value, it gives you some pop value. And not only that, but if you discard it using our Ancient Gear Commander, then you can actually use this graveyard effect just to get out a token. Then we have 3 copies of Ancient Gear Fusion. This is just a fusion card essentially, but if you do have an Ancient Gear Golem or Ancient Gear Golem Ultimate Pound on the field, then you can actually use monsters from your deck as material. It's a great fusion card. 1 copy of Called by the Grave because this deck does struggle with hand traps, so we want to just be able to deal with that. 3 copies of Droplet just because you want to really go second with this deck because a lot of the combos really orient around that. A lot of the Ancient Gear Golem monsters are beaters, so it's just great to do that, and Tanker even benefits from it. Then we have 3 copies of Ancient Gear Advance. This card is going to be able to search out your Catapult for the most part, and you can also tribute a card to draw 1, and then from there you can also reduce your tribute by 1, so that it could be relevant at times. Ancient Gear Fortress, 3 copies of it. This will just help bring general protection for your Ancient Gear monsters, and it's great because hand traps and overall just negates and like targets effects can be pretty annoying, and thankfully this card can protect you with that. Not only that, when you pop it, you can actually bring out a Ancient Gear monster from your hand or grave. So that's great. And then Gear Town here, mainly you're just going to be using this just to be able to pop it and then search special summon an Ancient Gear monster from your deck. And then we have the one copy of Ancient Gear Duel. This card also kind of provides that bit of protection, as it says, monsters you control that are Ancient Gear Golem or mention it are unaffected by your opponent's activated monster effect. So that's good. And not only that, but this card is used as the fusion summon. You can actually get 3 attacks with the monster that's used to fusion summon it. Alright guys, before I go to the extra deck, if you are enjoying the video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that. And let's get started. So I run 2 copies of Chaos Ancient Gear Giant. This card is powerful just because it's unaffected by spell traps effects. It is still affected by monster effects, so that does suck, but it is still a 4500 beater. Not only that, your opponent cannot activate monster effects during the battle phase, so that's great. And then this card can attack all monsters your opponent controls once each. So essentially, once you're in the battle phase, you're pretty much safe that you're going to be able to win at that point. Then we have 1 copy of Ultimate Ancient Gear Golem. This card has piercing, and your opponent cannot activate spell trap effects while it's attacking. And when it's destroyed, you can target 1 Ancient Gear Golem in your grave and special summon it. Then we have 1 copy of Ancient Gear Megaton Golem. This card can attack quite a few times by just using Ancient Gear Golem and or Ancient Gear Golem Ultimate Pound. And not only that, but if this face-up fusion summon card in its owner's control leaves the field because of an opponent's effect, you can actually special summon 1 Ultimate Ancient Gear Golem from your extra deck, ignoring its effects. And then we have 2 copies of Ancient Gear Howitzer. This card is unaffected by other cards' effects, and it can also burn for 1000. So this could be good to just get out, just because it forces your opponent to actually attack into it and save you an extra turn. And then we have 1 copy of Zeus, because we do have the Springen's Merrymaker and the Gigantic Champion Sargus, and this is just to search out our Regulus. And then here we have Appaloosa, which we can actually get out pretty easily. There's a lot of ways to bring out a bunch of monsters onto the board, as you're going to see with the combos video. Then we have SP Little Knight, just to banish something on the board, IP Masquerena to go with it, Platinum Gadget to bring out a low forward lore from your hand, and then 2 copies of Ballista because it's actually able to search out a Ancient Gear monster or a Gear Town from your deck to your hand. Not only that, but you can also pop a card on both sides of the field, and if it's a spell trap, with, like for instance, if you search out the Gear Town, then you can set it down and then destroy it and destroy one of your opponent's cards, and then from there bring out an Ancient Gear monster from your deck. Otherwise, on the side here I have the 2nd copy of each of these. I just don't think it's necessary to have the 2nd copy of each of these fusion monsters, as you're primarily going to be getting out the Ancient Gear Giant or the Ancient Gear Howitzer for the first turn play. And then I have 1 copy of Nightmare Unicorn in case you don't have the SP Little Knight, and then the Nightmare Phoenix is just another form of interaction in case you want to go for the spell trap destruction. But otherwise, let me know what you guys think about the deck profile. This isn't like concrete or anything, this is just kind of what I was playing with, and I might do some duels with it if you guys want to see that. But otherwise, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.